All right, let's talk NEET. If you're prepping for this exam, you already know biology is a huge deal. But there's a big difference between knowing it's important and actually knowing how to crush it. So today, we're laying out the entire blueprint, a step-by-step strategy to help you really master this subject. Let's dive right in. First things first, let's just let this number sink in. 50%. Yep, that's right. Literally half of your entire NEET exam is biology. This isn't just one subject among three. It's the absolute kingmaker. It's the single biggest piece of the puzzle that will determine your final score. So being good at biology, that's not optional. It's the foundation for getting a top rank. Now, seeing that huge 50% can feel, well, a little overwhelming. I get it. But it absolutely doesn't have to be. With the right game plan, you can turn this massive challenge into your biggest advantage. And that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to build that plan piece by piece, starting right now. So here's our roadmap. We've broken it all down into 5 key pillars. First, we'll build a rock-solid foundation. Then we'll get into the daily habits that create real momentum. After that, we'll unlock some smarter study hacks, figure out how to dominate those crucial final months, and wrap it all up with the champion's mindset that makes all the difference. Okay, let's jump into pillar 1, building your strong foundation. It's pretty simple, right? You can't build a massive skyscraper on a weak base, and you definitely can't aim for a top NEET score without getting these fundamentals locked in from the get-go. So the very first thing you need to understand is the layout of the battlefield. And here's a classic mistake so many students make. They focus way too much on Class XII topics, thinking they're somehow more important. But the truth is, the exam gives equal weight to both. Skipping chapters like cell structure from Class XI is like trying to play a video game by skipping the tutorial level. You just won't have the skills you need to win later. And the ultimate guide for this whole game? It's your NCERT textbook. Seriously, this book needs to be the absolute backbone of your prep. Don't just read it, live in it. Highlight everything. And pay super close attention to the diagrams. A diagram of a nephron isn't just a picture, it's a potential question waiting to happen, often exactly as it appears on the page. All right, foundation set. Let's move on to pillar number 2, mastering the daily grind. This is where we build the habits, the systems that turn all that knowledge into actual points when it counts. Check this out. This is a super simple but incredibly powerful loop you should follow every single day. 1, read a chapter. 2, and this is the key, immediately after, solve 50 to 60 MCQs on that exact topic. 3, go back and figure out why you got certain questions wrong. This little cycle is the secret sauce for moving info from your short-term brain to your long-term memory. It just works. This is what your daily commitment should look like. At least 2 hours for biology. Every single day. And look how it's split. 1 hour for brand new stuff, learning new chapters. And the second hour is dedicated to that powerful loop we just talked about, revising old topics and hammering out MCQs. This structure keeps you moving forward without letting old stuff fade away. Look, let's be real. Some days you're going to feel super motivated, and other days, not so much. Guess what? It doesn't matter. Winning at NEET isn't about one heroic study session. It's about showing up and doing the small things every single day. Sticking to that 2-hour plan, especially when you don't feel like it, is what builds the kind of unstoppable momentum you need. Okay, on to pillar 3, smarter study strategies. You've got the foundation, you've got the daily habits, now it's time to get efficient. Because this whole thing isn't just about working hard, it's about working smart. Think about it. You wouldn't study genetics the same way you study the animal kingdom, would you? For the conceptual stuff, you need to understand the why. That's where flowcharts and mind maps are your best friends. But for the chapters that are just pure memorization, packed with names and facts, you gotta pull out different tools, like mnemonics and just good old-fashioned repetition. It's all about using the right tool for the job. Our brains are basically designed to forget stuff we don't use. It's a feature, not a bug. Spaced repetition is how you hack that system. Look at this timeline. You learn something in week 1. Then you don't just forget about it. You purposely schedule a visit back to it in week 3, and then again in week 5. Each time you do that, you're telling your brain, hey, this is important, don't delete it. As the exam gets closer, you have to be strategic with your energy. These chapters on the screen, human physiology, genetics, ecology, these are the heavy hitters. These are the topics that show up again and again and again. Now, that doesn't mean you ignore everything else, but it definitely means you give these chapters some extra love and attention. This is where you get the biggest bang for your buck.
Which brings us perfectly to pillar number 4, nailing the final stretch. These last couple of months aren't just for revision. This is about sharpening your skills to a razor's edge and building that killer exam day mindset. Just look at this graph. It tells the whole story. Early on, sure, 1 mock test a week is fine, but in those final 2 months, you need to ramp it up to 2, maybe even 3, every single week. And why? Because at this point, you're not just testing what you know, you're building mental stamina, you're perfecting your timing, and you're getting comfortable with performing under that intense pressure. And then, in that last month, your focus becomes laser sharp. This right here is your checklist. You're going back to NCERT for a final line-by-line read-through. You're reviewing those short notes you made every single day. You're grinding through past papers to see the patterns, and you're using flashcards for that quick recall of all the key terms. No distractions. And please, I'm begging you, do not skip this part. This isn't some fluffy, feel-good advice. This is a core strategy. Getting enough sleep isn't lazy. It's literally how your brain locks in memories. Eating well isn't a luxury. It's the fuel your brain needs to function. Taking care of yourself is one of the smartest things you can do for your rank. Now for the big day. You need to walk in with a plan. Here it is. Attempt biology first. It's your strength, and nailing it early builds a massive wave of confidence. Be disciplined. Read every single word of the question. Don't get bogged down on a tough one. Mark it, move on, and come back later. This isn't the time to improvise. It's time to execute the plan you've practiced 100 times. And that brings us to the final and I think most important pillar, the champion's mindset. Because you can have all the best strategies in the world, but they're useless if you don't have the right mental game to back them up. As much as we've obsessed over biology today, you have to remember, it's still only half the battle. A perfect score in bio won't save you if you've ignored physics and chemistry. It's the balanced performance across all 3 that turns a good score into a fantastic rank. So keep that big picture in mind. And finally, I want you to really absorb this. If you're feeling nervous, if you're feeling like you lack confidence, the answer isn't to just wish you felt better. The answer is to go back to the work. Confidence isn't something you just have. It's something you earn. It's earned through every single MCQ you solve and every chapter you revise. It's the natural outcome of all your hard work. So there you have it, the complete blueprint. From the very first chapter of your NCERT all the way to your exam day's strategy. The plan is right here, in your hands. The only question left is, are you ready to start building?